What's up, everybody? Thank you for being here and welcome to another weekly installment of our live film reviews here on Wedding Film School. You've got myself today and Jason. How's it going, Jason? How are you doing?
It's going so wonderful. I cannot believe we basically got through the 2022 season and we can hang out with each other more, Bobby. Doing more Wedding Film School stuff.
Of course.
And of course, hang out with our wonderful audience. Hopefully you guys are having a great day if you're out there. And I wanted to say thank you guys for everyone who subscribed from our last BTS. And we want to be doing more of those. If you're a new subscriber, we try to do these every week. We don't always do these live film critiques every week, but we're trying to at least...
Pretty darn close.
Yeah, we're trying to be at least pretty faithful with that. And, you know, we got other content on the way. But thank you guys for subscribing and liking our videos. It means a lot.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys have not checked out the behind the scenes video that we put out last week or something like that, definitely go check it out. We've got the full behind the scenes, like, what, 45 minutes long, something like that. And we've also got the film from that behind the scenes, so you get to see how we made it, and well, I guess how Jay and Jared made it. I wasn't there at that one.
How I walked around. Everyone didn't like my handheld camera. I feel bad.
Oh, well, they can fight you about it.
Yeah, I keep telling them I was trying to be cool, like the cool kids.
So yeah, you can watch the full behind the scenes, like how it was shot, and then you can watch the final video too in a separate video, which is pretty cool. So a few kind of things to take care of before we dive in. If you have not been in one of these live streams before, what we're doing is we are reviewing wedding films that are submitted to us by you guys every single week, by this community, by the Wedding Film School community on Facebook, all through our website. I'm going to post it for you now. If you guys want to submit your films, it's going to be at this link right here. Just post it in chat, and I'll also pin it to the top. And right off the bat, guys, I'm going to let you know that we did save room, Jay, for one extra film today. So we've got our standard 3, but we think we have time to do a 4th. So you guys can start submitting right now at that link, and we will pull one of the films submitted live from somebody that's in chat. So a little extra fun. And to recap the way we go about this, we're going to watch the films in full. Or up to 5 minutes. So we do encourage you, even if your film is longer than 5 minutes, you can still submit it, but we might stop at the 5-minute mark. Sometimes we have a reason to keep going, but we just want to make sure we can get to a handful of films, so we don't want to review something that's 20 minutes long, or at least not in full. And then we're going to take turns. We're going to go through things that we liked about the film, and then we're going to go through a few things that we didn't like or think could be improved. We also want to hear from you guys in the chat. So if you have feelings, things you like, things you didn't like, things you think could be done better, just to help that filmmaker grow. That's really what we're here for. And, kind of giving you guys maybe the top 1, 2, 3 things that come to mind as far as the biggest steps that you could take for your next film. And we've seen some awesome growth from people who have submitted films earlier in their career, and then maybe they send us like their first one and then like their 10th or 15th, and it's really cool to see that. So without further ado, Jay, I think we're ready to dive in.
We are ready to dive in. So who do we got first, Bobby? Who's our first filmmaker today?
All right, so first up, and I actually see him in chat, I believe, we've got Caleb Tackett from Oak and Arrow Films.
Awesome.
And let's see, the notes we got on this one. Went early to get a little prep, stayed a little late. That happens, right, Jay? We've all been there.
I think it's actually a sign of a mature filmmaker.
I would agree. In total, about 2 hours more than what we were booked for to make sure we had enough variety. Shot on 2 Sony FX3s and a Mavic 2 Pro. First year in business, looking for things to help us improve. No video or editing background. Started dabbling in video in 2019. Before we dive into this, JS, it's queued up. What are your thoughts on, do you guys do hourly? I don't remember. I know you have different brands.
See, we do have I think it's good to have an upward limit on your time because you just don't want someone being like, I'm going to have you come at 6 a.m. and leave at 1 a.m.
Have you there for 18 hours.
So we have an upper limit. I think we say 6 to 10. We literally say 6 to 10 hours in our contract.
Yeah.
So it's we kind of basically when we talk to the client. So people do this a lot, Bobby. They rely on their content to communicate information that really they should communicate.
Yep.
And so the contract is there to protect you, but it's not there to communicate the message.
Detail,
right? So what we say to the couple is, hey, we're here to tell the total story. We want to capture the story. And I said that we actually talk about it in our podcast this week, which is coming out today. So you should go listen. It's called Shoot Better, Get Paid More.
You're going to spend your whole day
listening with us.
Film school.
Hours with us. But we're talking about, I always say, why would you structure your packages to deliver a worse product for your brand?
Yep.
You should be able to deliver a great product. So
I do the same. I moved away from hourly collections probably 7 or 8 years ago, I would say, for that reason. Kind of like what you said. I always found myself showing up early or going later, and what I found is people would book me because they really only had a budget for 8 hours, let's say, but they needed 10 hours, and it's well, what am I going to do? Make a worse film? Or
why would I want that?
Just come early or whatever. So I moved away from that and found a better way, for me at least, to differentiate my collections. I know this is your first year. There are tons of people who do it that way and are successful. It's not like you can't be successful. It's just think through it.
Yep, you got to have a good reason. So anyway, you ready?
With that said, let's dive in.
We are gathered here today in the presence of God, in the presence of family and friends, to unite Trevor and Sydney in holy matrimony. Marriage is an honorable estate and is therefore not to be entered into lightly, but with God's blessings. Today, Trevor and Sydney will receive God's greatest gift, a partner for life.
Got some bourbon.
One of those girls is not drinking alcohol. The other one is.
said. In the back of my mind, I repeat them one by one. I need it when I'm falling apart and bury my head.
I can already say the audio mix is going to be something I bring up.
I'm literally writing that down as we speak.
Want you close to me.
Looks like an interesting venue. It looks like it belongs in like Scotland or something. I don't know.
This is like every place in Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
I need to.
Old estates
Not
and stuff like
Minnesota.
this. It's awesome. I love this. I feel right at home in this venue.
Yeah. What's up, Justin?
Your honesty would throw me a line. It took me by surprise, but I don't mind anymore. I'm wrestling with graceful poise and straining just to hear your voice in the night.
I'm already crying, so it's fine.
I like that this person knows how to actually white balance their camera. That's nice.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice. So I want to pause this really quick. This is my personal thing, not most people's thing. But Bobby, am I the only person that finds first looks to be meh content?
I think that. Okay. I think that they can be good. Like, I just delivered a film yesterday, maybe, with what I thought was a really good first look with the groom. Like, he kind of lost it, really emotional on both sides. But I think that it's not automatically. Like, I think it probably usually should make the highlight.
Sure.
But it's
I'm not saying don't
that
put
you
it
need
in.
to like I so the last thing I wrote here, and I'll dive into it, like that father first look. I mean, this is the groom, but like
Yep.
right before that, the father first look, like we were on that shot for like 40 seconds. Like that should be 5 seconds, and it should be the best part of that reaction or something like that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people feel pressured, right? I think a lot of filmmakers are like, this is one of the most important moments of the day.
Yeah.
Like when you hear
But
people.
I think you need to go into it saying this could be. So like I need to shoot it well because it could be a very important moment.
But it could be.
It's
most likely it's garbage.
It's like, yeah, like 20% of them are good, I would say.
I shot
like
one. It's the one where it's like everyone's scrambling. Like I was one the other day, and the groom walks up, and he's like, "I'm here," or the bride walks up. She's like, "Okay," and then the guy just turns around. She's like, "No, you're not supposed to turn around." And then they have this entire awkward. It's weird, man. How like culturally, as wedding filmmakers, we all feel this big pressure to put first looks in all our films.
Well, I think part of it too is like there is that big pressure like for the bride and groom on the day. Like that's the first time they're seeing each other, and that is like I think that's when like the nerves usually dissipate, kind of, if they exist at least, I guess. And so I think like we can pick up on that. We can say, oh man, this was like they were really nervous about this.
They don't know how to
today, and,
like it's a performance, and if they don't know how to do it, it ends up being kind of weird. And it's weird though.
We need to be willing to just make it like a 5 second, like, oh, he turns around, he's like, oh, whoa, you look so beautiful, and then you move on.
I would say this: not all couples are actually that into it, and some are really into it. Most, it seems like
Some
my
people
couples
do it just for the schedule,
Yes, my couples.
which I love. But
Yeah, me too. The couples that I work with aren't that into it, but then I'll see all these like Midwestern couples that are like 24-year-old kids, and it's like this great moment. I'm like, darn, I want that couple.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but even that, like even me, like with in the Midwest with 24-year-old kids getting married, like, which is not always the case, obviously. But
probably
like,
not for your budget.
Yeah, also that. But like you know, there are plenty that are just like you said, like they're not bad. It's not like they're like mad about seeing each other. It's just like I think you can be tempted to pull too much out of it.
Yes.
Or more out of it than there actually is.
Yeah, I think that's really what I'm saying is like there's clearly some content in there.
Yeah.
But how much do
Yeah.
you put in? Is it really a big moment? I think it depends on the wedding. And I will say
Well,
this.
and that's where something I was going to say running, having multiple shooters or just running multiple cameras can be so helpful because you can take like that father of the bride. It looked like it was, or yeah, her dad with the first look just before this. It was one camera the whole time.
I run
So
3
you
cameras
can't
for every
really-
first look.
Yeah, I do too. And so like you can't really cut around if you're like, oh, this like right when he turns around, I want to show it, and then I want to show when he hugs her and says, "You look so beautiful," and then I want to show this. Those were the only good parts out of that 45
Yeah,
seconds
without
or
doing like
whatever.
weird jump cuts. So yeah,
But you can't do it if you only have one camera. And that's like like sure, running 2 cameras, more coverage, whatever. Like that can be like an upsell to your bride if that's what you want to do. Although I'm not going to limit how many cameras I run based on a bride's budget. But like there is a distinct advantage to doing that to you as an editor and as a storyteller.
All that being said, guys, drop a like on this video. Go ahead, that would be great. And also,
right after we said we wouldn't pause the videos, and then we paused for 5 minutes.
you see, I like it when someone's film inspires a conversation. By the way, this is not. I'm not saying this is a bad first look, but it just made me.
No.
It just made me
Also, it
think.
looks really nice.
It looks great, but I just made me think like the content for the day. I don't know. Is this an automatic for everyone? It seems like it is, and sometimes in our films, I'm like, put one shot. Every other shot is crap.
I'm like, I at least want to show the groom turning around. I feel like that's like
Me too.
cool.
That's the
But other than
minimum,
that,
and
who knows?
And
Yeah.
then after that, only if it's good. So moving on.
Don't cry.
Do cry.
Oh, there are 2 cameras, but they
Yeah,
are
this looks great.
breaking the 180 line.
They.
We're doing this.
Well, that's true.
We're doing this damn thing.
I've never heard this song.
Oh, really? We've probably used this like 4 times.
I don't know if I've used
It's a wedding classic.
it. Yeah. It's a good one. Caleb is requesting that we cry. Or maybe he's talking to the grooms.
I mean, I could cry
don't know.
too.
Is that a bourbon bottle cake?
It looked like a bourbon pumpkin to me. It's a very bourbon-centric wedding.
Close to me, close
To me. Ooh, isn't it great when you get the birds?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So, why don't we do this? Why don't you start? If you're just joining us, we like to do a round of what do we like about the film, and then a round of things that we think could improve it. We're always going to be giving them in terms of like, hey, this is what will help you go to the next level, and talk in terms
Yeah.
of where they are as a filmmaker, and not necessarily, exactly. And also, we're not the experts. Like we do our best, but we have our own opinions, and if you disagree with us, then okay, great. Let us know in the
Put
chat.
it in the chat.
Okay, Bobby.
Cool. So yeah, I'll start off. So I think, Caleb said this is their first year in business. I think this is a phenomenal film with that in mind.
Me too.
Like,
Really
I would
really good.
venture to say this is maybe one of the best films that we've seen from somebody that early in their career. on
Yeah, I would
this
say so.
show, or it's certainly in the discussion. You have very good use of light at like all these detail shots. Like you're clearly utilizing the light. Everything looks like there's a shot here or there where it's like, the light you didn't like coming down the stairs. I remember, but it's like there probably wasn't any light, so I don't know. Whatever.
There was hardly a
Like,
shot
very
that I
good-
was like, that's garbage. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's like there were things that I would do differently within the shots, but like the way it's exposed and white balance and stuff, like you have a very good grasp of that, which I think is very
even
great.
getting
And
them to stand by
also-
that window, that could have been a disaster.
Yeah.
That sequence right there, and it looks great. This right
So
here.
yeah, a lot of
the storytelling
stuff
chops
like
of
that.
showing someone throwing and then showing the close-up of the hitting. It's just good storytelling.
And then really good like coverage. I don't know if this was 2 shooters or 1. Either way, like yeah, I think you just got a lot of shots, of variety, and yeah. So I think that it was edited pretty well too. We picked out a couple things that we'd maybe change kind of in that earlier discussion, and we'll probably go into some more. But like the editing is solid. There's not like some big glaring thing, I would say. But I think it's your shooting that really stands out. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, if he was in a market and he was charging like 4K, I don't think anybody would bat an eye.
Yeah.
Like, I think, not to say that that's super overpriced or whatever, but it's like, it's professional, full-time wedding filmmaker quality.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want me to say what I like?
Those are my thoughts. Yep.
Yeah. I felt like I was saying, the sense of storytelling in terms of like I mentioned that sequence of like darts. Like, you didn't just show a guy throwing a dart, you show the close-up of it hitting, right? There's a lot of like thoughtfulness in terms of how he was trying to communicate progression of time, sense of place, and of course the personality of the couple. I think, even like right there, and that looks like gimbal maybe, but that could have been a disaster, the move, walking towards the couple and all that, but it was tastefully done. Like, I just felt like this is event coverage, right? So you're going to have little warts here and there because you don't have control. And I felt like I could see, you know what it is, Bobby? Good event coverage people, which is what a wedding filmmaker is, people who are great at this, they understand that it's a live event and that they need to be flexible. And I could really see there's a lot of, they weren't overwhelmed by the shoot, and they were able to do the coverage, but also do a few things that helped them tell their story.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. I think it's a really solid film. And of course, I like, they didn't screw up white balance, which honestly annoys the crap out of me. Like, so.
And it's a very common thing, I think.
It is very
on.
common.
It's like, there's, the windows are blown out, but like that's going to happen at a wedding.
Yeah.
But like, for the most part, you're exposed pretty well.
I didn't even think that was a mistake. I think we could debate whether or not.
That's what I'm saying. Like all those like basics that I think we see, especially early on in shooters of just like a pretty rough shooting, is not the case here.
Yeah. So all that to say, now we got to push them a little harder. So let's talk about, because they're doing it.
Sucked. Just kidding.
In reality, it's crap. No. And so let's talk about, I think, some things that we think that they can do to improve their films and their brand. And I was going to bring up the first thing. Don't really love the way that logo is positioned.
I don't really love using the logo at all.
I think Oak and Arrow without the logo would be better, or just having it over a black or a white screen. And I think that opening shot is pretty weak. Like, I don't
dislike the opening shot, except I don't love how long it lasts, because I don't love seeing that like this mansion is just like in a neighborhood.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like I would rather have seen.
Kind of weird.
I would rather not see.
I would have rather have seen. Okay, I can't show you anything, but like, if we're looking at this house here and we see what the front is, kind of right, the bottom.
Yeah, crop it in around,
and don't even maybe drone. Like, come down below it in the grass, down below, far away in that section of trees. I mean, this is a huge yard. Get there with like a really long lens and just get like a beautiful establishing shot of the mansion.
Yeah, I would have preferred that. Like,
and do a little slight push in or something. That's probably what I would have done, given the surroundings. Like, the aerial's cool and it's very beautiful, but I think it loses its like steam when you're like, oh, and there's the neighbor cul-de-sac, and like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I just felt like it didn't look that elevated. I think having a second shot be a close-up of a chandelier, even though I kind of like the shot, wasn't great. I think there's some overexposed details like that. I think you could have done a little more dark and moody and a little less overexposed on the highlights. That might be a taste style thing. The biggest critique I have for the film, besides like some of the branding and like the way you're presenting it, is really the audio mix throughout the film. There is some painful sounding audio that hurts my ears, like when the ambience coming in and it's fighting with the background music and it's just like sizzling and burning my ears. And then I think some of it is too loud. And even like the first one, I believe there's a sound effect here, Bobby, where the leaves are rustling. And I thought it was just paper crinkling. Like right here.
We are gathered here today in the presence of God,
Oh
in the
yeah.
presence of family.
But it's
I don't
like
know what that is.
it's. I think
Also,
it's Foley sound that he put in to connect you with the leaves, but
Gotcha.
they're green leaves. They wouldn't be making that crinkle sound.
yeah.
It just hurt my ears. So I think in
Also,
general,
I did not remember like talking on audio. One of the things that I was gonna say is like there's not really audio driving this film at all. Like where the speech is, where's the ceremony, and sometimes they're just not good and you can't put them in there and whatever. And I know there's some mic audio from the first looks and there's some ambient audio throughout, but like you do have audio because you opened with an audio. I didn't remember that, so
I think
I wonder why there wasn't more.
Yeah,
My
I think
guess
when
is
you're
it wasn't good.
when you're cutting between shots with your audio and you're including ambient, I think it's really important to give a nice soft knee on the fade and not just have the audio like cut with the clip.
Yeah.
That's really disruptive to your ears. Like if you can even start the audio before the clip shows, that's a great technique. But give a nice soft knee, let it roll in. Don't scare people by like having them like they're like leaning in, bah, audio. Like, I think that's one thing I would say. Just kind of be a little more sophisticated, pay a little more close attention to how your mix is, and don't let your ambient audio overwhelm the music.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the both of the wedding party, the bridesmaids and the groomsmen each like taking a shot or a drink or whatever they were doing. Like, you brought those levels so high up that you made that like you were like. It was like, I want you to listen to this. Whereas what it should be is a very subtle underlying thing under that music because there's nothing, it's just a clink of a glass.
So
Like
the
this,
noise
you brought
floor,
this so
you hear
high up, yeah.
you hear the noise floor immediately go before even anything happens.
Yeah.
It's like bink, a little bit of nice.
Joshua, you can submit at the link at the top of the chat.
Yep. Yeah. By the way, if you're listening, submit a link at the top, and then we're gonna pick something live. We're gonna do that third. We're gonna do that third, Bobby.
All right, third film is gonna be
so-
selected live.
So then I was gonna say the last thing is I think just a little more B-roll would have been nice, and I feel like I don't know if it was slowed down, not slowed down. Something was a little weird to me about some of this close-up B-roll stuff. Right here, this little sequence, it looked kind of funny to me, Bobby, and I can't like. It looks like it wasn't slowed down, or it's like kind of like jumpy and bumpy. I would say like put a lot more stabilization on that. My opinion on when you're just shooting a weird floating subject, you can make it super, super. Like I know that camera you're on, get that IBIS all the way up, and then in post stabilize the crap out of that gimbal move and slow it down. And this is one of my biggest shooting tips, Bobby. When I tell my shooters, when they're shooting table details and stuff, I'm like, slow it down in post. Don't try to shoot slow motion. It's a much smoother move to go like this than to go really slow.
You're not trying to, if it's like a 4-second shot, you're not trying to go from here to here in 4 seconds. You're just going whoop and then making it 4
and then slow it down in post, right? So I would encourage you, shoot for the slowdown for those table details. You don't need to worry about it. Stabilize the crap out of it. Just make it look really good, because I was noticing a lot of motion. So that's what I think could be better. It's still a great film.
Yeah. Okay, things that we haven't discussed that I wrote down. I guess only really two things. One, watch your 180-degree line. I think there are scenarios where it doesn't matter. I think I am also hypersensitive to it.
I think it matters a lot.
Yeah, I think it usually does. I think I would say there are, like, I've seen some things maybe in like a ceremony setup where it just makes sense due to where they are or something like that. But in this scenario, it was pretty in my face, which was during the first look. So you had, the shot that I think you were on for most of it, which was from the like right side, and the groom was on the left, bride was on the right. They were looking at each other, and then you're cutting directly to a shot that's seemingly maybe the exact mirror of where you are. Like, if
it was
here,
like this.
You're here, and then this one's here, and it's the complete opposite where the bride is now on the left, groom is on the right. And it's like, it's not closer or wider. It's basically the same shot from the other side. And so that's something you should try to avoid.
I agree.
And then the only other thing that I would say, I think you might be, I don't know if you're handheld and gimbal or if you're gimbal on everything. But some distinct gimbal shots were like you're covering way too much ground, like way more than you need to, in my opinion. Like there's the first shot of, I think it's the exterior of where the reception is, maybe. It's like a brick wall with the entryway door, and you're probably moving 15 feet on that. You don't need more than 2 steps, maybe 3.
Yep.
Same thing with the reception, the first wide reception. You're going low and coming up, and there's just so much movement in that shot, both moving your feet forward and also a full, basically, pan of the room. I just think you don't need that.
Well, this is what I'll say about that one, Bobby, because Alex Douglas does that a lot. It's called Doing Time. Lots of multi-axis gimbal moves, but what's
There's
important?
nothing wrong with multi-axis.
Well, I don't even mind big moves, but you have to be. It has to have a subject on the A and the B. So if you start on like say your A is a chandelier, that's where you're starting, and then your B is a really long pull back to the whole room. What you did was A was nothing.
Yeah, it was just.
And then it panned up to the chandelier. It would have been a much nicer shot if you start on the chandelier and swoop back and reveal. Then it's a reveal. And I think
I agree with that, because there are times, like the only times that I can think to myself where I'm like taking 5, 6, 7 steps is I'm starting up on, there's
subject A.
This greenery hanging or whatever, and I'm coming down as I'm walking to reveal the whole room. That's probably the only time I'm making that.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a big move, it has to be super intentional. And I think that's a great tip, Bobby, because I noticed the same shot. I was like, it almost looks like a super high-end move, except it kind of was aimless. And I think that's and not every reception is appropriate for that kind of move.
True.
Anyway, great film.
Yeah, that's all I have though. Great film.
Really good. Thank you so much for the submission. Hopefully that was helpful, Caleb. I'm really looking forward to your career as a wedding
submit
filmmaker.
More, because we want to see like the next film you do. I'd love to see what you do next film you shoot.
Who we got next, Bobby?
Well, I'll dive into that in a second, but before we do, we kind of briefly mentioned this, but anybody who's in chat right now, we have added an extra spot basically. So if you have a wedding film that you want us to review, you can submit it at the link that is pinned to the top of the comments or top of the chat or whatever. It's just weddingfilm.school. I think it's /live review, but you can click the link up top. Submit now, and we will pick one of the films from somebody who is live in chat to review, in addition to our standard set of reviews. So feel free to go do that now. And in the meantime, our next film is from
good luck
Adrian Sawarka.
I believe
I nailed it.
Yeah, I believe this is. It looks like it's from Switzerland or something, or Germany.
DE, so Denmark.
Denmark.
I think DE could be Denmark or Germany, maybe. I don't know, somewhere around there. Anyway,
European.
Clip and Click. Yes, Clip and Click is the name. Clip-click.de is the website if you want to check it out. This was shot on a GH5 with the Sigma 18-35. Only one camera and one lens all day. Manual focus only. That's because it's a Panasonic, right, Jay?
Yes.
Got him. Just kidding.
Ba-doom-tsh.
8 hours. Schedule change. Became about 10 or 11. Relatively tight schedule. It was at all points. Long travel times. That's always frustrating to me, but I don't know.
What is nice long travel times?
Yeah, like it's always, I'm just like, man, I got to spend like 30 minutes going from this place to this place, and then I got to spend 20 minutes going here. I'm like, I don't know. There's pros and cons. I guess I like having different setups and different.
I would say, like, for me, that's basically 70% of my weddings.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's more rare for me, and I think it just like, it can sometimes throw me on the wedding day a little bit, where I'm just like, oh man, I need to pack up again. I need to like, and I'm just like getting all flustered.
I get it.
Video has 2 versions, with wedding vows of the couple and without. I guess I'd be curious to know why. I may not use the speech. Is the couple too intimate? Greetings from Germany.
Germany, great.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. So I don't remember I don't know which version this is.
We'll
So
see.
I guess we can't necessarily. Well, here's what we'll say. If we think it needed the vows, we'll say it needs the vows.
Yeah,
If
I
it
need some vows.
doesn't, what's up, Michael? How you doing, buddy? All right, here we go.
Fast forward thinking.
I think you should fast forward past that kiss.
We're on fire today, guys.
Really nice shooting though. But
Yeah.
They fall again. Look around here. Slow down. We miss a
that girl's wow, they love to cry.
She's freaking. They're done. They're all crying.
place for the night. They fall again. It's an honor to wait here. Thrown out in the wreckage, didn't want this in my soul. Clean pain.
Oh no, he's doing the walk cut.
Yeah.
That looks super nice in there though. That light is awesome.
Yeah.
Something about you. Pull me close.
I'm guessing at this point we have the version without vows.
Those brides are crying still. Bridesmaids.
Some say they're still crying.
To this day, the bridesmaids
day.
are still crying.
Man, it looks like there's a lot that goes on in this ceremony. They're like moving their chairs around and stuff. Speeches.
I don't understand showing these people talking and not having any audio at all. I don't
That's,
understand this.
They're still crying.
Oh my goodness, these are the cryingest bridesmaids I've ever seen.
That's a cool shot.
There's a lot of cool shots. I think, like, you know, this is one of those things too, Bobby, where culturally speaking, you know, as American
Yeah, we
wedding
don't know.
filmmakers, we have our way of how a wedding goes. And I find this in European weddings a lot, that I'm always like, where's the rest of the stuff?
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, that's too loud. It's just a totally different type of event. That's nice right there. Again, like, that's a tough, that lighting looks cool.
Yeah.
I agree, by the way, it is a cool track. I would agree, Ray. Mouth moving without audio is a fail. Pretty much. Yeah, I don't like that. The whole film is like voyeuristic in a kind of a bad way. Like, I think the fact that I could just talk over it and it doesn't affect the experience
Yeah.
at all is not a good thing. Because
Yeah.
like, there's some nice shooting in here too. That's the thing. I think this filmmaker, when they improve their storytelling chops, will make really
Yeah.
nice films. And so, it's beautiful. My God, cool logo.
Nice.
Oh, we gotta watch that highlight. Okay. It's a little longer. So
Probably around 5 minutes. I think we could probably comment.
yeah, let's talk really quick. So I think we will both agree. Let's say what we like about this, because there's, like I said, there's a lot to like. So what do you like about this film?
I think we pretty much talked about what we like the most, which is I think there's some really solid shooting in this. Like the opening shot there, really good shot. I think he sat on it too long, but it is a really good shot. There's some really nice use of like some interesting light. I think you have some very beautiful shots in the church. You have some good shots of what I think was like the reception venue kind of, and it looked like we were going to maybe get into some more good shots. Like what it looked to me, I think the best way to put it is it looked like when things were very in control for you, you are a very good shooter and you got some really solid shots.
I would agree. And I think really what I'm seeing the most of in this film is a person they're very comfortable shooting.
Yep.
And they really, really, really know how to shoot, but they don't know how to edit themselves or their films, and they're afraid of not including things. Like, this is nice. This footage right here.
Yeah.
It's really
I would have
nice.
liked to have seen some of this earlier too, I think. Like,
Yes.
it is a very what's the word? Not sequential. What am I thinking of?
Well,
Linear.
Linear.
Yeah, sequential, I guess. Very
Yeah.
linear edit, which is maybe what they wanted. It also might be the standard in Germany, and so we can't really speak to that. But some of that stuff, like, that's a really cool interior. I think it could have played a role earlier.
I think some of, like, that shot of that table,
Yeah.
that pan across, that is an excellent way to show that room. It
Yep.
shows the length of the table. The parallax enhances it. The ceiling is included. Like, there's a lot of really beautiful stuff included in this, and that's an excellent shot. I love the gimbal move, hand up. Like, the shooting is really, really solid throughout the film, and I think
My guess is we don't have audio here, Jay. Is that correct
we're
in
just
what
talking
saying?
over it. Yeah, sorry. Let me
I know, but I mean, like, we're seeing all these speech givers. Were we getting any audio from that?
no.
Okay.
No, I think
I
that's
was
just
just
something.
curious more than anything.
Yeah, we'll get into that. So there's a lot of good stuff. I think
Yeah.
I want to show you the portrait stuff too, because
Yeah, that's very.
there's some really nice portrait stuff at the very end too, which also would have been much better.
Is everybody kind of lighting up with their phones? I think that's kind of cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff. This is a good shooter. Like,
Yeah.
I will take this shooter on my team, right? I think,
You just gotta start booking in Germany.
yeah, I don't know if that's going to be profitable to me. So, a cool logo too. Clip and click. I love that logo. So, okay, let's talk about, there's a lot to like, but I think we can get into what do we think they can do to level up, Bobby.
I think it's mostly going to come down to your editing. I would first say you gave us the option to share our input. Granted, we did not hear the vows. It was because we selected the other version, I guess.
I don't know. I selected the one he submitted.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It could have used vows. It could have used any audio. I don't think the vows are going to be too intimate. I mean, maybe it's possible, but
Maybe to a German.
yeah, true, maybe. But yeah, I think this film could have been elevated by having audio that helped drive it a little bit. Are we seeing another film right now?
Maybe by accident.
I think so, yeah.
Whoop.
It might be one of
It's
his
another,
others
it's
or
another one of
something.
their films, so that's good.
So relevant. So yeah, I think that, I mean, I mentioned like sitting on some shots too long, but the thing is like, I think, yeah, again, all in the editing, I think using audio would be great. You have a lot of people shown talking that we don't hear anything.
Lots
I would
of
take
that.
all of that out. Like, there's a lot of that. Like, probably everybody who spoke at both the reception and the ceremony. And then I think really it just needs to be, like, ultimately, I think what it comes down to is it needs to be a shorter film. Like, Ray actually said it would be a great 60-second, like a great teaser, and I agree. There's some phenomenal shots. It could be a wonderful teaser, but there's a lot of filler of just like, and we see this in a lot of European films. So again, we're in the US, take that into consideration. But like a lot of just like cocktail hour, random wide shots of a bunch of people kind of mingling and whatever. Like, I mean, we were in the ceremony for what seemed like forever. And when there's no audio, it's really hard to just keep
I just
showing,
can't
like, it's the
imagine
bride
why,
and groom,
when we're
now it's
looking at
somebody
this,
talking.
Bobby,
Yeah.
that we're not hearing it.
Yeah. Also that
And
would
it's
have been
so
good
long
ambient.
too. Like,
Yeah.
like you have like 15 seconds
So yeah,
of these
I
girls
think
going.
cutting down shots to be shorter, making the overall film shorter as well, and then like being careful, like, you know, if you don't record audio in the day, or maybe you charge more for that and they didn't book it or whatever, like I don't know, right? But like, I don't think we can be in the ceremony space watching the ceremony for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes without any audio driving that.
Yeah, I think
It
I
just
would
gets
agree.
repetitive.
Well,
But
this
the
shot
shots are
right
nice,
here.
it just gets repetitive.
Let's see when this one starts. So you
I
start
love
hanging
that
out with
lighting
the.
there.
Yeah, it's overexposed
cool.
on that girl's face,
Yeah,
but I think
but like, It's an interesting little.
You're in this bride first look for 20 seconds with no audio.
Yeah.
And you know what the best audio in a wedding film is, Bobby?
Bridesmaids crying.
Someone crying.
Yeah.
Someone crying. If you put someone crying in your wedding film,
You win.
you automatically make money. I think here's what I would say. Wedding filmmaking is all about tapping into human experiences and emotions. This film is too aloof. It's too distant. You're showing intimacy. These people, like, this is what I'll say. I don't know, culturally speaking, they were comfortable doing this on camera. So they would be comfortable. Like, it's not like they're crying and be like, oh, shoot, there's a camera here.
Yeah.
Like they hired you, right?
Yep.
They knew that this was going to happen. They set these moments up. I would say anything that they let you film is on the table.
On the table.
You can put it in your film, and your next couple, especially if like you're good at capturing these moments, you have to connect with that humanity in your film. You have to show people this is who these people are, and these people are not austere. They're not quiet. I mean, they might be quiet, but they're not like unemotional. They're not people that are afraid of showing who they really are on camera. I mean, these are fun people. They look stylish. Like there's a lot of just really nice things to highlight. Show that. The other thing I'll say is you should front load your film with your bangers. And this first shot is way too long. This is way too long on this. Like, I mean, you're talking this right here. I'm not a big fan of slow motion kissing. I think it really exposes the weirdness of what a kiss truly is.
Yeah, I think you can like go into the kiss, but then I'm like, don't.
Well, that's 12 seconds. 12 seconds on that kiss. And I think the front of your film is not well managed. Like, the front of this film would have been much better if you showed off that planner stuff, you know, show that you know how to work with decor. Because these people, they have nice decor. Show that you know how to show a location. That portrait session, like, it's awesome. This is a great portrait session. This car, we have one shot of them in this car. How is that possible? Like, this is dope. Show this off. Like, show the good stuff and get people to go like, yo, that person knows what they're doing. I want to hire them, right? I know this is like a savage way of thinking about wedding filmmaking, but I just said the human thing before, so cut me a little slack, Bobby. But like, show the humanity, but also show all your bangers at the beginning. Not all of them, but at least enough that a person knows like, oh wow, this is coming up. Maybe I'll see more of this.
I also think it's like the hook, you know? It's like, and like also I was looking at, I mean, again, you're delivering a film for somebody and for their wedding, and I get that, but it's also your marketing material. So like, I think you have every reason to say, somebody who is on my website, who's maybe interested in hiring me, maybe not, maybe they just found themselves, maybe I posted on Facebook and they're like, oh, this looks pretty, whatever. It's the same reason why you make the prettiest shot your thumbnail, right? It's like you might only get them for 30 seconds. You might only get them for 10 seconds. Like, make sure they're seeing something good.
Yes. And make sure, like, the whole point of wedding filmmaking sales, in terms of making films that are saleable, is a person sees that and goes, oh, I want that.
Yep.
Like,
that
that could be me. Oh, I can see myself in that. Like, I could see I want that from my film, you know? And like, rarely do they think like, I want to kiss that guy. I want to kiss slow motion like that guy. Like, I think
weird.
Yeah, like, they're not into that. I think showing things that are relatable and beautiful and locations, and
it's the same reason why when you run, I mean, and I don't really run Facebook ad videos or Instagram or whatever, but like, my conventional knowledge on it tells me you want the shots that are relatable, like something that looks really cool might be
or
really
aspirational.
Cool to you,
I think you go either or.
Yeah, true, I guess.
Like,
but
it has
there
to
are certain shots that just like aren't going to serve you, even if they're cool.
So, very cool. So, I mean, we're kind of ripping on this film because I think as a story, it's pretty weak. But as a shooting wise, it's excellent. Super good.
And also, we don't know German wedding films.
No, this might be the most engaging ever German wedding film, and I'm not saying that to make fun of German's reputation as being a little.
Like we just don't know, and we don't know what standard is, and we don't know like if they're like no, in Germany like we don't use toast.
Ray says, "Trust me, German people want to hear themselves," and Ray's probably worked with German people, so
probably
I would agree.
Cool. On to the next.
On to the next one. So let's pick
our third one, and then we'll pick one.
All right, Bobby. So why don't you pick a film, and I'm going to give people a little bit of the and Slack me the link, please. And I'll do a little bit of promo for this week's podcast episode. So if you don't know, guys,
wait. In the meantime, before we do that,
oh my gosh, Bobby, you really just killed me.
Submit your films at this link that I am putting right here a bunch of times. Go submit your films right now, and we'll pick somebody in about 5 minutes. Somebody from the live.
So Bobby, this week we're talking on the podcast. It's called "Shoot Better, Get Paid More," and it was kind of a riff on.
Those.
Yeah, it was kind of me too. A riff on the "shoot less, get paid more" kind of thing. That was a huge trend in photography, and then I think wedding filmmaking has absorbed the trend. Always bothered me, by the way. It's like, you want to do less work? I kind of get it, though. I do get it. But at the end of the day, I think getting paid more is the real point, right? It's like,
do anything, get paid more.
Make more money. And I think one of the things that a lot of people kind of don't always think about is my work good? It's like, am I a good shooter? We talk about marketing a lot. We talk about all these things when it comes to wedding filmmaking and the wedding industry in general. And I think a lot of times we forget that, like, you got to be good at shooting. Like, you got to know how to cover an event, not just holistically. Like, I got all the shots. My camera rolled the whole time. My audio didn't turn off. Great. That's a good baseline. But like, so in this episode, we kind of talk through like, what are some barriers to shooting good? What is shooting good? What do we even mean by that? And so this is a question I was going to bring up to you while we're picking this, Bobby, and you can think and pick at the same time, hopefully. But
might be tough.
It might be tough. And you're going to answer in the chat, guys. Here's what I want to know. First of all, have you liked this video today? If you haven't, please do that. Go hit the like button. I only see 9 likes, so we got more than 9 people in here. So go hit the like button. Let YouTube know that this wedding filmmaking education is...
We're at 10, yo.
Yes, great. That it is something worth watching. We believe it is, by the way. But second of all, Bobby, the question is, when you're thinking about gimbal usage, why do you think so many wedding filmmakers use a gimbal as like their A-cam for event coverage? We talk about that in the podcast. Like, in our perception, a gimbal should not be used as like primary coverage of a speech, primary coverage of a ceremony. Like, it shouldn't be your A-cam. It should really be like C-cam, really. Like, and it's kind of bonus. Do you agree with that or not agree with that?
Do I agree with that? It should be a C-cam and it should be bonus.
Yeah, it's not essential to event coverage.
That's how I run mine. I mean, I guess, I run mine as like a B or C cam. I agree with that statement. Like, but I think, I guess I'm curious to hear why you guys think.
Well, so we're talking about in the podcast. We're talking about, we say like, hey, we notice way too many filmmakers are just shooting speeches on gimbals and shooting whole ceremonies on gimbals. Yep. And it's always floating around. It's always moving. Yep. It's just off-putting. It doesn't feel professional. It doesn't look good. I can tell you
the reason I think that happens.
Why is that, Bobby?
Is because I think people see a gimbal, they're like, oh, that's like the best tool.
That's
and
like the real cinematographers.
And then they don't use anything else and they don't know how. And they get super reliant on their gimbal and never changing their lens and never, like, we see films here and we've called people out on it where it's like, it looks like you shot this on a 35 all day. And so I think it's because it's easy. And I think that's a trap that people fall into. Where it's like, can I shoot an entire wedding on a gimbal? Yes, but it will look like I shot an entire wedding on a gimbal on one lens. Like, it's limiting what a film can be for sure. Even really good shooters, I think, exist.
And I think it's mainly like, I think you can shoot a whole speech on a gimbal, but like
Yeah, you can,
stand still.
but don't submit your film here because we're gonna rip it apart.
Well, if you're still, I won't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think just this whole thing.
Well, I think it also just like in theory. I mean, I know like it doesn't technically, but like I still feel pretty strongly that like it limits your focal lengths that you're going to use. You're not going to be swapping your lenses and rebalancing all day long. You're not going to be putting a wide 35 that's like a light little piece of plastic and then a 70 a 200 on there. You know what I mean? So I know you can in theory, but on a wedding day, you're not going to be doing that.
Most likely no. But it's interesting. I think gimbals, every time you get a technology advance, I think you have the moment where the technology takes over the art and and I think we're hopefully rebalancing, but it's an interesting, like, it used to be this great thing and then it becomes this meh thing where people just, any tool can become a crutch. Any tool can become something that's not intentionally used.
Ultimately. Yeah.
So,
and I think that's part of it too, right? Like, think, okay, how many years ago were we on glide cams before electric gimbals or electronic gimbals? And then you know, gimbals have gotten better and better, been able to hold more weight. They've come down in price. And so like, we're still kind of, I wouldn't say at the forefront, but we're like in the thick of it as far as like gimbals being like, I mean, drones were the same way at some point, or maybe still kind of are, where it's like they became more accessible due to being better, being easier to use, being cheaper to buy. And so then everybody gets one. And now it's like it used to set a film apart. Now it's kind of seen in everything. And when it's used correctly, it's still very good. And when it's used as a crutch, it's ultimately hindering your growth.
Yeah. So we talk about that, shooting better and shooting, and how really like becoming a great filmmaker who's maximizing their income starts with shooting better. And I have an opinion on the show where I basically say, listen, the first thing before marketing, before branding, before networking, the first thing you need to make sure you can nail as a filmmaker is just shooting and editing well. And really shooting well before, like, garbage in, garbage out, right? So I think when we tell someone like, hey, you're a good shooter, but you're editing, that's a great progression. Like,
it's a good place to be.
Yeah. So we talk about that on the podcast. So if you've never listened to our podcast, I encourage you to check it out, the Wedding Film School Show, wherever podcasts are found. You can go to our second sister YouTube channel. Do you have that link, Bobby?
I can grab it.
He'll put it in the chat, but the Wedding Film School Show, the episode's dropping later today. And you can check out Shoot Better, Get Paid More, where we kind of talk about shooting. We don't talk about shooting as much. So we wanted to do an episode where we talk about shooting. So I have an episode. I have a person I chose, Bobby. So maybe if we do this one and we can get a couple more submissions, and we can do this. I got Michael up if you want to do that one.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we got Michael DeLuca from DeLuca Films. Is that? Yeah, DeLuca Films Inc. Really solid filmmaker. And he submitted, and I liked how it looked, so I picked it.
Easy.
So if you would like your film reviewed today, drop it. Go submit on the website, weddingfilm.school/live review.
We have our third one that we had already picked also, Jay.
Yes.
FYI. So
I don't know if I captured that one, actually.
Oh, well, if we don't have it, then we might review another.
Let's review another one live, because I didn't email that person either, so they don't even know. So let's check out this film from DeLuca Films. Whoa. All right. Hopefully the audio works. And also, it's up on VidFlow, so I'm not always sure how the buffering works on that. So if you have little buffering issues, please be gracious. Y'all.
2 secrets of a long-lasting marriage: a good sense of humor and a short memory. And may all your ups and downs be only in the bedroom. And may...
That would never be in a German.
We in the sun. Okay. We in the sun. Hello. 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 Hello.
I don't know how to make this play bar go away. There it goes. Just goes away.
Good morning, my love.
I can't believe this day is finally here.
It's hard to think that it has been 4 years since our engagement.
And now we're just a few hours away from being husband and wife.
I can remember how excited and nervous I was then. I love you then and love you now even more.
She looks like Cecily Strong.
I'm so excited to soak in every moment with you. I love you so much, more than words can truly express.
Let's have fun, make some memories, and spend the rest of our lives doing so.
You are my best friend, my lover, my soulmate, and my most favorite thing in the whole wide world.
If you know Justine, you know a goofy, fun, beautiful, high-spirited woman.
Justine, I know your dad and Dino, if they could be here, they would have loved to walk you down the aisle. But I know they are here in spirit and are so very proud of you.
I know. Thank you for loving my best friend.
I'm very, very, very proud of the man that he has become and how constantly and consistently he always tries to better himself.
How do you spell love? You don't spell it, you feel it, and we feel love tonight.
Anel, you are the absolute light of my life, my best friend in the entire world, and the man I've always hoped and dreamed for. Our love story may have began by chance, but I believe that we were destined to find each other.
Today, and every day after this, I vow that as long as I have breath in my body, I will always be here loving you.
I promise to always be your sous chef, your travel buddy, your cornhole partner, your best friend, and the best dog mom there is. Loving you is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and marrying you is the easiest decision I've ever made. My heart belongs to you now and forever. I love you.
You're the feeling in my soul. Every sunrise turns to gold. You're the reason I will never be alone. Every moment that we spend, like a symphony beat, you're the reason I will never be alone. You are my
I pronounce that you are now husband and wife.
So, I think that's a solid film, and I would say, Ray, I don't agree with you. I like how jumpy it was, but I think there is some things though that maybe I might have as critiques. But let's start with what we like about the film. What do you like?
I think it was shot pretty well. There's good, variety. I know he was in chat saying that it was shot entirely on the Tamron 35-150, which I think is a very interesting lens for wedding filmmakers. I reviewed that lens, Jay, many months ago.
Yeah, I think that lens is awesome, actually.
Yeah, I brought it on a 3-day wedding to Mexico with me and shot almost entirely on that, and it was really cool. Yeah, really, really great lens. I thought you had really good detail shots.
I agree.
Which I liked. And I also thought, what was the last thing that I really liked? Oh, I thought you had really good coverage on the dance floor. Like, you are kind of doing what we, I almost feel like it was like too bright. I wish it was like darker with a light on there. But that's maybe not up to you. But I like that you were doing what we kind of get on other people when they don't do it, which is like you were in there with probably the 35-150, but like you're in there. You're not like on the outskirts. You're in the action. You feel that action with a little bit of handheld camera movement and stuff like that. So I think that was really solid. I
have a critique about the look later, but I think in general, just when it looks good, I think this is a really distinctive look to the color. There's a few spots I think maybe you want to calibrate it a little bit, but overall, I think you have a nice distinctive look that will stand out, and I think that's good. Very editorial looking. I think. I think just as a shooter, Michael clearly, he's not just a good shooter. He's a very good wedding filmmaker. Like he knows the wedding filmmaker things that you do, right? How to shoot close-up details, how to shoot the moments, and then in terms of storytelling, I felt like he kept the pace going, and then he hit one of the biggest things I see with wedding filmmakers that I'm always like, come on, is when that song gives you something and the wedding filmmaker doesn't take it. Just put it on a tee for you. It told you exactly where to make your cuts to make me feel something, and you missed it. And he didn't miss it. He hit a couple of those big moments and really made me kind of connect with the edit. It's not just when you make a cut, right? It's when you emotion of the person on screen can go with the music. It felt good. Good. And I think, this to me, like a wedding planner would love this film. Any couple would love this film. And there's a lot of tricky stuff here too. Super, super crazy highlights. So let's talk about some things that we think could be improved.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. I feel like I get what you were trying to do in the beginning. It's this kind of standalone, 20, 30-second intro. I'm usually a fan of those. It's a little more upbeat, a
little naughty.
Yeah, and I don't really mind any of that, but I do feel like we were just it was just 0 to 100. It was nothing. It was a black screen, and then it's just boom, we're hearing this person talk. What it made me do is when it started, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not in the controls here, and so maybe I missed something, but it made me look at the play bar or the play bar on the bottom to say wait, is this the beginning or did we dive in 20 seconds into this? Mm-hmm. I needed something that just established that just existed before that speech is what
the audio was it was a little abrupt, but
yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was abrupt for me. I actually wrote this down before Ray, and so me, Ray, and you, Jay, are going to feel differently, it appears. But I also felt like it was too quick, especially the first half. The cuts for me were too fast for what the song was.
I would tend to agree. I just wouldn't call it jumpy, and
maybe not jumpy. I don't know. Maybe
I would just say the song was, and I think there was also every shot had to have post zoom, and I
have that written down too. So that's one of the other things. I think almost every shot outside of speeches, basically every shot where you were on it for 3 seconds or less, it seemed like, which is most of them, had a post zoom in or a post zoom out.
Yeah, it's quite literally sometimes 10 shots in a row.
Yeah, and I like post zooms. I think they can actually add a lot, but they have to be subtle, and I don't think these were quite subtle enough, and there has to be a break in them. It can't just be every B-roll shot it can't just be every B-roll shot has a post zoom. I think you lose the impact of it then.
I would agree.
The only other thing I wrote down, and this is maybe more of a Jay thing, because I know I get an odd feed through Zoom where me and Jay communicate and I watch. I felt like, and I don't know the answer because you were in a lot of rooms with all windows, and so the highlights for me are I don't know, was this a problem? But the windows I don't care so much about, but I think there were other scenarios where you're blowing out your highlights, but maybe I'll wait on Jay to
I would say this looks
like
I would say looks like Dolce 1 or Dolce 2 or Timber, and just 100%, and it's just just crushing those highlights, like
Yeah.
basically like
you're
it's
losing information.
It's
in a lot of
reducing the like, and there's a look to it, and so I like
And some of it I don't mind, like the stuff with the dogs, right? Behind you has got to be a white wall with direct light or a huge open window or something.
When you don't have a lot
like,
of
that's the way it goes sometimes.
when you don't have crazy highlights, a look like this can look nice, but I just think it's a little either it's a little too dynamic color wise. It needs the highlights tamed a little bit. In order to do that light and airy look, you don't want it breaking up.
Yeah.
Like, and it's looking like it's like up and then gone. And I think like you might want to expose for the highlights a little more, and then you can really in post give it that dynamic look that you want to go for. And that's what I was saying is like when the light is good, the look looks good. But when the light is bad, the look needs to be tamed a little bit.
I want to be clear because Michael's in chat too.
Timber 2.
I actually don't mind the stuff where I know you're up against a window. I think that's like we have to just take that and understand as wedding filmmakers that we maybe didn't control that situation, and so I think that is what it is. And so I would comment more on like there's a couple maybe with the bride and groom that looked a little.
This looks great to me, Bobby.
Yep.
Like in this environment, this looks great. But then when you start and right here, it looks great because
I'm fine with that.
It's really warming up your shadow highlights. And it's really nice. But I think when you start to get into like some of these trickier environments, like it looks like they're in heaven, like getting and not in a good way.
It's their wedding day.
Like it looks like weird, and I also think this light right here, during these speeches, I probably would have liked that a little more directional, a little more spotted. It's like, but not like shiny. It's like, see how it's all shiny on their face? It looks like a really low light stand or something. I don't know. I just think the speeches should be shot shadow side, and it would look a lot more flattering on the subject.
Yeah. Oh,
Cool.
We've got Grant in the chat. Thanks for being an hour and 14 minutes late, Grant.
Yes, but very, very, very like I like the look, Michael. I just think like this is a look that can you have a very, very stylized look. And so you have to start feeding it what it wants to see to render the results you want in post. And I feel like there's a couple places where your lighting was a little too aggressive to push it as much as you like to push it to get that look. So it looks great. Cool. Well, I think that's the feedback that we have, and I think it was really good. Do you want to do one more and then we'll be done?
Let's do it.
You want to do Kyle?
Sure, I always love an 87 and Smith film.
I don't always love them. Sometimes I hate them. That's not true.
I'll be sure to hate this one.
What if we really do hate it? We're just like watching it. We're like, oh,
that's
shoot.
his fault.
Oh man, this is a bad film. What do we do? All right, here we go. Totally Cold, 87 and Smith, from Kyle and Smith. Hot off the presses. Already, first shot is a banger, by the way. So, what do you think? First shot. Review the first shot, Bobby.
Is this a double exposure?
Looks to me like he's shooting through glass. Or a mirror.
It looks to me like a double exposure.
We'll see who's right.
It's not the first shot. Wow.
That guy's a baller.
Bottle with a sword.
What, the champagne saber, as they call it. Just so you guys know, some of the quick cuts don't really render super well on the playback. They look better than in real life than they do on playback. So just so you know, they're not as jumpy. Oh, double exposure.
Overload shot, go me.
Once we are born, we begin the search for that perfect person. The one fit for our mind, body, heart and soul. The lucky ones find each other.
Weird.
Vishal
Weird shot,
is
Kyle.
hopeless romantic. Literally, he is. Vishal, like his hopeless romantic attitude. Emily, your selflessness, like that's a recipe for success in marriage.
When I showed up for our first date, I met you literally pacing across an empty restaurant because you were too nervous to sit down. Vishal, you don't hold yourself back from relationships in your life. Emily and Vishal, you two are blessed to have found one another and to be each other's soulmate.
Not all marriages start with a love story, but luckily Emily and Vishal's did. We have all loved in our lifetimes, and it is in this moment we are reminded that the ability to love is the best part of humanity.
I'm nervous. Oh my God, you are so gorgeous. I'm so excited. Am I allowed to kiss you yet? You look beautiful.
They say the greatest test to a relationship is to see if you travel well. You and I have been to ancient temples, hiked the Peruvian Andes.
Climbing Machu Picchu on 2 hours of sleep and motorbiking 762 hairpin turns through the mountains of northern Thailand after you taught me in a parking lot for 3 minutes.
Stayed up watching the stars wherever we went, and through every place we've ever visited, I have found in your heart my forever home. In your eyes, I found you took my breath away.
Yeah, that's cool looking.
Yeah.
I reflect on these past 6 years in awe of how many once-in-a-lifetime memories we created, and I cannot imagine what's in store for us moving forward. I live for our date nights at home where we share a nice meal.
Dude, this lighting is so rough. Just one spotlight on the bride's face.
When I'm driving home from work, because hearing your voice calms me down after a hectic
I heard Kyle
day.
set that up. That's his light, actually.
I truly
Oh no, they missed their
you
kiss.
are a person that reflects the people you are with. The people you surround yourself reflect on you.
Fight for the things that made you love each other, and don't give up on it.
In this next great chapter in our lives, for as long as we both shall live, I promise to forever share my whole heart and to always tell and show you how much I love you.
Falling in love with you, it has been a dream come true.
Okay, so What did you like? What do you think was great about that film, Bob?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is well put together. It is overall just a very good film. Obviously shot very well. I really liked. You had some really good shots of here in towards the beginning of like the venue. You also had some later of like kind of more of the setup of like the reception area. But
The close-up details are really nice throughout the film.
And and the detail shots. And I love some of this, like those groom shots. There were a couple of things I didn't love about some of the groom prep too, but we'll get into that later. But I really love I love the way that this venue was like a character in the film. Like all the setup and the venue, and it's just like this venue is so cool, and I love that it was like a prominent part of it. Because you could have just gone off, right, and been like, here's my one establishing shot, and then it's kind of in the background and stuff, but like you focused in on like small details and different rooms and stuff like that.
So I think Kyle does he's excellent at shooting editorial style, shooting details, showing off just everything. Even if it's not posed, it feels composed, right? And I think that's a strength of his, and I think that's really shown throughout the film. Like, what am I looking at? Where's the action? You're
intentional.
You're telling me where to look. I'm feeling plugged in. I'm feeling drawn in. I'm feeling pulled out. I feel like you're kind of giving us a lot of different things to look at. You're keeping me moving. Nobody's bored. You showed the beautiful things about the film and the people and the event really well. And there's a lot of audio in there. I mean, not my favorite audio, but I think you did tell us
that might be a condition of just what you're given.
100%. Yeah. And I think there was a lot in there, and it did show off the couple and who they were, and it did, like, the narrative of what was said was plain and obvious to me. Whether or not I liked the sound bites or whatever is another story, but I think there's just a lot of really nice shooting in here. Let's talk about things we think could be improved, or that's just our opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so I am, and I've said this before, I even said it in, I think, the last film. I love these little, like, intros, kind of. I think that's a really cool thing that I'm seeing in more wedding films. Kyle always does a very good job with them. I love the black and white stuff to open. I'm a sucker for black and white. And not only that, but I think this film, this venue, is the perfect spot for some of that. So really good shooting with that. I do feel like, however, the intro, it felt a little too long to me or something. I can't quite pinpoint what it was, but there's something with the intro.
It was a little bit of a fake out, I think. It was like, the film started.
Almost like lost its direction a little bit for me or something. I don't know exactly how to say it, so it's not that helpful.
Well, I would say, it's nice to know, hey, this is a little teaser intro, so you can, you're mentally positioned in that. And when you're watching it, you're thinking, this is the beginning of the film, and it kind of just slowly turns into the real film. And I think it would have been better if it would have been like a stronger start. And I
could see that.
Made it been like, hey, here's a banger teaser. I think I felt what you're feeling. I do understand why it's hard to articulate, but it felt like it wasn't. It was a little. You felt displaced.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, again, I don't know exactly how to put words to it. I think that's the best I can do at this point. The only other thing that I didn't love as much is it's hard to say too, because I really like the idea. I like some of your groom shots. I love all of your groom prep shots. I love all your bridal prep shots. I like the idea behind some of your groom prep shots, the really, really dark ones, but they were too dark. I think they were too dark. I don't mind the whole freaking frame being almost black, but you needed to kick just a tiny light off to the side on the groom's face slightly or something like that. There had to be some separation and distinction of what the subject was, because I felt like the groom got lost in a lot of those because there just wasn't, like, even that one I don't even know, but like the tie going on,
too dark.
I just don't, it's too dark for me. The white of his shirt is catching stuff, but his face is just completely in the dark, and so is the tie and his hands. And so it was like, man, if it just had like a tiny little flicker of light on, like, or that one, like, really cool.
Yeah, that's a good example of, like, there. I was like, there was nothing that made me, like.
Yeah, I needed like a little.
The practicals are so bright. I wonder if he could have masked the edges.
Maybe, I don't know. Like, it's such a cool, it's like 99% of the way there to just being this super epic shot.
Tough.
But there's something to me that, and I don't know that it's practical to actually do that, but like, where it's like, I need just like a little tiny fill.
Yeah, he said he had 25 seconds, and this is what I would have done in this moment, is I would have keyframed in a mask or like a tilt shift or something to draw the person's focus onto the subject, and maybe like lifted the subject slightly, tried to make it not noticeable. Or actually, it's usually better to drop the exposure on the thing that's pulling your eyes away than lift the exposure. So I think you could have rescued that, and that's event coverage, right? You can't always compose it and get the lighting exactly what you want.
Like, I'm totally understanding of the restrictions you were dealing with in the moment.
It looked cool, great composition.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, for me, I just think the shadow highlights are way too blue throughout the whole film, for me. Like, there's so many blue dress shots and so many shots of like right here. It's just not my thing, having a super cool look like that. It's too cool for me. Like, especially because, like, a lot of the shots, like, that I'm noticing, like, that really drew me in, like right here, they're true, right? Or like shots where, like, you're showing these great close-ups of, like, invitations, and like the light's really warm and nice.
Yeah, I love those invitation shots.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I kind of feel like when you keep seeing this blue dress, and like, I just feel like the whole film, it needed to be warmed up a little. It just was so cold. And that didn't match, to me, the couple, by the way. The couple, to me, was a warm, connected couple. And the last thing I was going to say is the music, to me, also didn't match the couple. I felt like this couple was bringing a lot of life to the screen, and the music was sucking a lot of life out of the film. And I think a little of that drama was nice, but I kind of wanted some relief at one point. I wanted to, like, okay, it's serious. Right? The location was really serious, but the couple wasn't. And I felt like we could have done with some, like, classy, uplifting energy towards the end, like bring some happiness to the film. This couple was super, super joyous and happy, and I felt like we could have seen that a little more in the film. I mean, that might not be a style. Some people never do that.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. When in, like, watching it, I felt like I didn't get relief, like emotional relief, like where you watch it and you're like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, this personality's shining, and they're like kind of rocking out and having a good time. He said there's zero open dancing, which, so I do understand that. That's so crazy. You know, event coverage 101, man. Yeah. And it's like, it's funny, like, and I'm really happy he submitted it, because when really good filmmakers know how to cover up these things. And sometimes you do things like, well, I'm going to slow it down because I don't have the footage for it. And I know it's not the best edit, but this is the only one I can do.
Yeah.
You know, and
sometimes that's the way it is.
And so I felt like this is a great edit. And, like, you know, Kyle's a professional. If you're watching this, like, when you are shooting weddings, you don't always get the content to make the film. Like, I'm critiquing something. I don't know what content he had to work with. I'm just telling you how it feels. And in reality, like, as much as I think the blue highlights are too blue, my feeling on the song being upbeat, maybe that wasn't even possible to do.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. That's wedding filmmaking.
A lot of opinion based in
100%. You make the film you can make with the couple that you have. So, and the day you have. So, we had a lot of great films today, Bobby. That was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah. Another week in the bag. Check it off.
We're submitting that episode later. If you don't mind, if you're watching still, drop a like on the show. Let people know. Let the YouTube algorithm pick it up and say, people don't hate this. They like this. Also, check out on the Wedding Film School show YouTube, which Bobby will drop down in the chat. Check it out. It's going to be live later today. Podcast episode's going live and very small, in like 30 minutes. So if you want to listen, we're talking about shoot better, get paid more, and we try to drop these. And next week we're interviewing Josh from A Little Long Distance. Cool. So we'd love if you have any questions you want us to ask Josh about he's a great storyteller, excellent filmmaker. So we're excited about what we got going on the channel and on the podcast. And everything Wedding Film School related. We love you guys. Hopefully you guys have a great day. See you guys.
Yes, thanks. See you next week. We are out of here. Bye.